Alright, hey guys, Blood Moon Bobby here, and now I'm going to be talking about iOS 12, which is the new update to iOS coming out this fall, and it was announced at WWDC on Monday. So, before we get started, quick little thoughts of the updates as a whole. Kind of like macOS Mojave, it's not a really super big update. This isn't like going from Android ice cream sandwich to Android lollipop. It's not that kind of an update, but kind of like macOS Mojave, there are a few standout features which I think are interesting. And the first one, I think Apple's addressing the controversy where they were slowing down iPhones to preserve battery performance, and that is this update promises to be like to speed up iPhones even up to older iPhones. Like iOS 12 is going to support the exact same iPhones as iOS 11. They're not dropping any this year, so thank God for especially people that use older iPhones like the iPhone 5S, the iPhone 6, or the iPad Air, or the iPod Touch 6th Gen. I think is a real godsend for you guys, so you don't have to get a new device. But anyway, as for this performance update, it promises things like it'll be 70% faster to swipe open to the camera, 50% faster for the keyboard to pop up if you're using like a text messaging or Facebook, and 2 times faster app launches even when there's a heavy workload, which I think that was a very specific one. So, not being unable to get my hands on it, and I am trying to get my iPhone SE because I signed up for the iOS beta. I was trying to get it, trying to get the beta for this video, but unfortunately I can't seem to get it. I don't know, maybe I have to fill out that feedback application because I have the iOS 11.4.1 beta, so maybe I have to do that in order to get the iOS 12 beta. But anyway, it's definitely nice that Apple is, pretty much pulling a PR response in terms of, not they're not going to slow down older iPhones for the sake of forcing you to upgrade. So I hope this update definitely helps out, because that's definitely one advantage Apple has over Android, in that unlike Android phones, which tend to only receive updates for about 2 years after the initial release, iOS phones or iPhones and iPads technically can go on for years. I mean, the iPhone SE has like iPhone 6s up hardware, and now we're up to the iPhone 8 and 10, and and that's going to be supported for a while. And like I said, even my sister's iPhone 5S, which is the phone that came out in 2013, it's still, I would say, pretty responsive phone. It can get laggy at times, but it's still a decent performer, So it is great that Apple is, even if it's just to respond to the battery controversy. It is nice that they are speeding up older iPhones with this update. Next feature, some of these features, by the way, are carryovers from macOS Mojave, so I won't be talking to them as much. So if you want to see more on features like FaceTime, please go watch my macOS Mojave video. FaceTime with up to 32 people. Again, though, kind of like what I said in my macOS video, the problem is, it's going to be floating heads. And I think it's going to be even harder to do on an iPhone because, the iPhone's much smaller screen. Like my iPhone 7 is a 4.7-inch screen, but the MacBook Pro I'm using right now has a 15-inch screen. So, yeah, I mean, especially if there's going to be conversation with a lot of people, I think it can get really messy. And you can't see them all at once, even in a realistic scenario. So if you want to hear more about like my concerns with FaceTime, please go watch my Mac OS Mojave video. And the next feature is Memoji, which is kind of like a response to Samsung's creepy AR emoji. Admittedly, I got used to it, but it's still really creepy in that because you use the front-facing camera to do your Memojis, it tracks pretty much your facial movements. It kind of gets into uncanny valley territory. Like, I would probably use it just to be funny, which unfortunately I can't because this feature only supports iPhone 10s. So, it's not a feature I'll be using anyway. I don't know if I'll be using it myself, but it's definitely something that, a lot of manufacturers are catching on to, like Samsung, Sony, and now Apple are doing it. Right, hi. Back the next day because it turned out my camera forgot to record the rest of the WWDC iPhone video. So back next day. This time I actually just got my new 20 to 35 Nikkor lens for my camera. So hopefully things look a lot better. I'm looking at my monitor right now. More things seems to be in focus because I had an issue with my old 18 to 200 where I had a really tough time getting a lot of the frame in focus and wide angle. So basically the video should look a lot sharper. But anyway, continuing on. So next feature of interest that was announced WWDC in iOS 12 is notifications. So you know how when you turn on your iPhone, when you get like a ton of notifications, they're in the order of the most recent, but they'll often get scrambled. Like you'll have all these hopefully I'm not spewing any personal, like you see all these Mashable tweets, but then you see all these emails, you see a lot of well, at least tweets, and they're all from different apps. Well, in iOS 12, what Apple's going to do is they'll now be in order of apps. So instead of being all scattered, you'll have one stack full of your mail notifications, one for message notifications, one for Facebook, and so on and so forth. So it's coming in iOS 12, and I hope developers, particularly social media developers like Facebook and Twitter, jump on that because it sounds like it's really going to help out a lot in terms of organization. So yeah, and also Craig Federighi showed that if you have you can actually dismiss them all at once. So if you see a lot of mail notifications that you don't want to see at the moment, you can just swipe them away and you'll be good. So that's notifications. Fifth one is huge godsend, even though I don't use CarPlay. I know there's a lot of people that have been dying for this feature, and that is there will now be support for third-party navigation apps in CarPlay, which is a real godsend. I know because I know the third-party developers that can have apps out for CarPlay, it's really strict. And the weird thing is that there are no that Google Maps and Facebook Messenger and Twitter don't work with CarPlay, even though they do work with Google's competitor Android Auto. So I kind of just think it's Apple being Apple, where they make you use their first-party options first before they enable third-party support. But Google Maps is a definite must, even though yes, Apple Maps have gotten better, even in my own personal experience. My sister says that in recent years Apple Maps have been getting much better, although recently we were going to this aquarium in Long Beach and Apple Maps made us do a U-turn we didn't need to make. So it is really nice that it is coming. If I had a new car, I would definitely, and it's weird, I've been window shopping for new cars lately, and I've been looking into I'm not going to buy a new car anytime soon. I don't have the cash for that. But if I could, I would definitely buy one that had CarPlay support. So it is really nice that it's coming. Next new feature is a thing called Screen Time, which is designed to help out. I'm surprised this feature isn't coming to macOS. So that it helps out users that are basically smartphone addicts, people that are using their iPhones and iPads way too much. You can set it so that if you're using let's say Instagram a lot, and let's say you're using Instagram for an hour, you can set it so that when 1 hour comes, it'll give you a notification saying, hey, it's time to stop, which admittedly, I'm not really sure if that's going to be enough of help because you could just keep ignoring the notification. Though I heard what happens is if you set it to stop at a certain time, you will no longer get notifications. So I guess that can help, although, because you know how on Instagram, if you want to see new posts, you just swipe from the top of the screen to reload. I have to wonder, is it still going to because if it just reloads, then you could just keep going. So not really sure if that's going to be of help. It's a good first step, but I don't know if it's a full solution. There is also tools for parents in that they can actually, he kind of goes back into privacy issues, track their kid's device from a parent's iOS device. So maybe for instance you're using an iPad, you can track your kid's iPod Touch and to track and tell them hey, you got to stop using it, you've been using it for a couple hours now. I did kind of wish for both the parents and kids there was a feature where on the Nintendo Switch parental controls app, where when a time limit comes it just stops, and the only way you can keep going is if you get your parent to let you use the Switch again, or in this case, the iOS device. So I kind of felt that's more of a solution, because in that instance, the kid can't do anything unless the parent gives permission, which if it's bedtime, obviously, parent isn't going to let them keep going. But it is a good first step, but I think they could have went a even bigger step in terms of helping smartphone addicts get off their phones more often. So it's a good first step, but I think they could have done more. Next feature up is shares and comments, where in Safari, users are now going to be able to choose whether to let a website use cookies to track the likes, comments, and shares, like on Facebook and Twitter. I talk about that in much more detail in my macOS Mojave video. If I start talking about it again, I'm going to keep going on a bit of a discussion about this. Like, I'll just go off on a tangent, especially since I'm a person who's studying social media management. So if you want to learn more about this feature, go watch my macOS Mojave video. Siri, you can now Siri, you can now ask Siri to look up a password. I talk about this more in my macOS Mojave video again, so if you want to learn more about this new feature, please go watch that video. Security code autofill, which again, it's in my macOS Mojave video, so you know where to go. And then number 10, and this is going to be interesting because in college I know a lot of people that were very suspicious of Apple Pay, and that is the Apple Wallet will now support contactless student IDs. So it's kind of like how in Apple Pay, you can currently use things like use Apple Pay for your credit or debit cards. Well, now you can put in your student ID, which I am not going to show you my debit card in Apple Pay, because it does show the last 4 digits of your debit card number. But it's the basic idea, so it's probably going to be a thing where, like, if you take a picture of your student ID, you can add it to Apple Pay, and I think it's going to be real convenient. And trust me, like, I've used Apple Pay at my college, and it's worked out for me really, really well, and it's much more convenient than having to lug around my thick wallet, having to pull that out to get my debit card out, where I can just pull out my phone, go up to a terminal, and just do this, just boop, and then there you go. So if you need to buy something with your student ID, or like at my college, in order to get into sports games for free, you need your ID card. You could do that. So hopefully this will really get implemented in the future. My college sort of implements Apple Pay in that you can use it at the vending machines, or at the Subway, or at the El Pollo Loco. Interestingly enough, my bookstore, when I tried using Apple Pay, even though the credit card terminal said, "Oh, we support Apple Pay," I was told, "Nope, we don't support it." So I'm hoping maybe Apple could partner with colleges like Stanford University or Cal Poly San Luis Obispo to implement this and say, "Hey, this really works," so they can convince other colleges like my school to start using it, because personally for me, Apple Pay's worked out really well. And in my opinion, if you can buy something from Amazon, ordering something online, then you can definitely use Apple Pay. So these are the top 10 iOS 12 features that caught my eye. I didn't go over everything, like the new redesigned Apple News app, or the quite a few other features. Nothing super significant, or the new they rebranded iBooks Apple Books, because they didn't really catch my interest as much. And really, if I was going to talk about everything, then what's the point of watching this video? These are the features that I consider practical, and the ones that you guys are pretty much going to use. So that's about it. This has been Blood Moon Bobby. I'm going to be I have at least one more WWDC video in the works that I'm going to be filming today, from the time making this video, about the discontinuation of support for the first generation Apple Watches. First generation Apple Watches, including the Apple Watch Edition, will no longer get support for watchOS 5. So be sure to look out for that video. It should be uploaded from the time I upload this video. So be sure to go watch that. Please hit subscribe and for more of my Apple videos. And thanks for watching. Hey guys, this has been a Blood Moon Bobby video. Please like this video or dislike it. And please subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.